Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti. We were discussing the topic, the power of the mind. In the topic power of the mind, we saw there are two factors. One is the sense control and another one is the mind control. So what we mean by mind control here is the emotions, and what we mean by sense control is the control of the senses. And to talk about the importance of the senses and the sense control, we read the Viveka Chudamani verse, where one animal has weakness for one senses and it gets destroyed, and a human being has weakness for all the five senses. Therefore, he got to be more careful in handling the senses. Then we came to discuss the mind. Here, mind implies emotions. Emotions. As the intellect is trying to manage the senses, it is also trying to manage the emotions. So intellect is of two. One is to manage the senses and another is to handle the emotions. When these two are managed and controlled, you are leading a normal life. And that normal life is a prerequisite for Vedantic inquiry and then evolution. So a person who has a sense weakness and who is a victim of emotions cannot do Vedantic inquiry. Or that person can do Vedantic inquiry and that inquiry will not be of any use. Therefore, first thing that is important for this Vedantic inquiry is the sense control and the mind control. A person achieved these two, you should remember, has not achieved anything extraordinary. A person who has achieved sense control and the mind control has not achieved anything extraordinary. A proper preparation is done by that person for Vedantic inquiry. So here we are looking at a preparation for Vedantic inquiry. The preparation is sense control, and then the control of the senses, and then the control of the emotions. And when we talk about the senses, we have seen that already in Atma Bodha. You should remember that. It is not the organ control, it is the Indriya control. We have seen all that. If you have forgotten, you can refer back to those Atma Bodha portions. So whenever in Vedanta we talk about sense control, it is not controlling the organ, it is controlling the Indriya. It is the sense center and not the sense organs. That is where we have seen the correlation. In Atma Bodha, we studied this. Everything in relation to the cow, we studied this. The Sanskrit word for cow is go. Go means cow, go means sense organs, go means earth. Three meanings it has. Go means cow, it means the sense organs, it means the earth. The world, the sense object, the sense organ, the sense center, the mind. Because when I said Atma Bodha, suddenly I realized Atma Bodha came before thesis on God, isn't it? Thesis on God itself is forgotten. No? Where to remember Atma Bodha now? Therefore, let us go through the sequence again. What is the sequence? The world, the sense object, the sense organ, the sense center, the mind. The world is it's called Golakam. The organs belong to the gross body, the indriyas belong to the subtle body. We are not going to this analysis again. We are just refreshing the memory. Because all this we did. If you've forgotten, don't worry. We will be doing Atma Bodha again and we will study all this again. There is the sense organ. The sense organ belongs to the gross body and the indriyas belongs to the subtle body. Gross body and subtle body we understand, isn't it? Gross body is this gross body made up of what is visible and tangible is the gross body. What is understandable is the subtle body. Why do we call it as gross? Because others can see it. That's why it's called gross. Subtle body, nobody can see it except you. That's why it's called subtle. Again, I repeat, what is the distinction between gross body and subtle body? That which can be seen by others is gross. That which cannot be seen by others is the subtle body. Your mind and intellect cannot be seen by anybody. Yeah. That's why they ask, Buddhi Irga, they ask, isn't it? They will not ask, do you have eyes? They will not ask. They will not ask, do you have ears? But then they will ask, do you have Buddhi? Why? Because we are not sure whether the other has it or not. Why? It is not perceivable. Therefore, we understand the human being is the gross body and the subtle body. Sense organs belongs to the gross body and indriyas resides in the subtle body. So when we talk about sense control, whenever we talk about sense control, we are not talking about organ control, we are talking about indriya control. That has to be very clear. Organ control means closing the eyes. Indriya control means there is something that is corresponding to the eyes in the sense centers and the sense centers which is located in the mind and you are handling that. By closing the eyes, nothing will happen. If sense control means closing the eyes, control is very easy. Pluck the eyes, you will never have weakness for sight after that. Plug the ears, you will never have weakness for sound for sound after that, isn't it? You pluck the eyes, what happens? Control will not happen, you simply become blind. If you plug the ears, control will not happen, you will simply become what? Deaf, huh? Yes, if you can't hear, that person is called deaf, isn't it? You will simply become blind. Means what? You can neither see the good nor the bad. That's blind. Deaf means you can hear classical music, but you can't hear the drilling noise. That is not deaf. No, deaf means you can neither listen to classical music nor you can listen to the drilling sound. That is not control. That is simply becoming deaf. So if you misunderstanding sense control, they start organ control. It's not the organ control. It is the indriya. It is the indriya control. And what is meant by indriya control? allowing the sense organs to do their respective functions, and when the registration happens, intellect is aware of the registration. That is called Indriya control. Again, I repeat. What is Indriya control, sense control? Allowing the senses to do their respective functions and registration of perception happens. At the perception, at the registration, what is happening? The intellect is alert to allow or not to allow. That's why the intellect must be the door. The intellect must be the, see, all the houses have a door, no? Why do you close the door? If you close the door, you can allow who to come, whom not to come. If there is no door, what happens? Everything will keep coming and going, isn't it? Therefore, the intellect is the door. Meaning, what should come in also you decide, what should go out also you decide. So you decide what should come in and you decide what should go out. What should come in is called Jnanendriyas. What should go out is called Karmendriyas. Are you able to follow? You decide what should come in and you decide what should go out. Because of the door not being there, what is happening? Everything is freely coming and there is a free entry and a free exit. The care that we do when you build a house, you do the main door and you do puja for all that, no? Isn't it? There we take so much of care. But when it comes to our own subtle body, we don't even know that it has to be done. So, are you able to follow? Why this intellect has to be necessary is because from one angle, the raw materials are the same. But then there is a uniqueness. Medical sciences talks about the raw material of the body. What is the raw material of the body? Okay. What is the raw material that goes into a building? The raw material that goes into a building is steel, sand, cement, isn't it? But that steel, sand, cement is converted according to, even though the raw material is the same, the shape, the size of the buildings and all are different. Correct? Similarly, all the human beings at the gross body level, carefully follow, all the human beings at the gross body level, the raw materials are the same. That's why they say everybody has eyes, everybody has ears, everybody has nose. It's like saying all buildings is made up of sand, steel, and cement. Are you okay till now? Even though all buildings are made up of sand, steel, cement, there are individualities exist in all the buildings. That individuality is not because of the raw material, it is because of the raw material plus something. That plus something is called Indriyas, the subtle body. Are you able to follow now? What is that plus something? Is the Indriyas and the subtle body. Now, when we talk about the control here, what are we talking about? The Indriya control. What is Indriya control means? Senses do their respective functions of gathering data and giving it to the mind. But again, senses don't function like a machine. As they perform the job of collecting data and giving it to the mind, they also specifically look for the pleasant and the unpleasant. Are you able to follow? Sensors have two functions. One is to gather data. If sensors does only the function of gathering data, sense control has no meaning, because it is not going to do anything. No. But no, as it gathers data and gives it to the mind, it has another function. What is another function? To quote that which is pleasant and avoid that which is unpleasant. Are you able to follow now? Intellect manages the pleasantness and the unpleasantness. The craving for the pleasantness and the unpleasantness, the intellect manages. Because of that factor managed, it can effectively do the job of gathering data. When it can effectively do the job of gathering data, we say that person has a perception. That person is able to see what others are not able to see. That person is able to see what others are not able to see. Are you able to follow? Therefore, what does the Indriya do? What does control means? An awareness of the pleasant and the unpleasant should not be the guiding factor. If intellect recognizes this, brings the senses under control. You other sense controls. There's nothing complicated. In the name of control, you cannot. What people do the mistake now, instead of worrying about the pleasant and unpleasant, they start interfering with the data function of the senses. What is the data function of the senses? The eyes should give data about the sight. The ears should give data about the sound. Control doesn't mean interfering with the data collecting process. Control means the pleasant and the unpleasant. Invariably, nobody is bothered about the data things and all, because almost by default it is happening. You open the eyes, perception you start registering sights, isn't it? We are able to have an alarm clock because there is no shutters to the ears, no, isn't it? If there are shutters to the ears, how can an alarm clock work? For who will open the shutter, isn't it? Therefore, senses functions, the data gathering function of the senses is happening almost instinctively, naturally. The pleasant and the unpleasant thing of the senses dullens the instruments. When the instruments are dull, the data that it gathers also will be restricted, limited. Are you able to follow now? When the indulgences happen at the level of the senses, the instruments become dull. That's why you find by the time the person gets to 25, 30, they say they are bored of all enjoyments, no? 25, 30, we are just saying generally. By 18, 20 itself, people are bored. Why? Because constantly courting the pleasure and constantly avoiding the unpleasure made the instruments dull, weak, inactive. That's why when you go to the doctor says, all this is lifestyle problems, he will say. You go to any disease to the doctor says these are all lifestyle. Stomach ache. Stomach ache. It's a lifestyle problem. Yeah. Stomach ache, there is no stomach, there is no ache. It's a lifestyle problem. Headache, lifestyle problem. Where there is a problem in the organ, they can give medicine and correct. Where there is a lifestyle problem, they cannot do. Now, what is the difference between organ problem and the lifestyle problem? And most of us have the lifestyle problem, not the organ problem. Organ problem or Kannadi Guttalla, isn't it? Nowadays, it's become matter. Everybody is wearing glass. No, I'm seeing. There are a few sitting in front of me. There are wearing glass. There are a few in the class. 95% of them are wearing glass. Everybody is wearing glass. There's nothing wrong. If there's a defect in the organ, it can be fixed. If there is a defect in the lifestyle, what can be done? Intellect is needed. So sense control is the mistake of always wanting the pleasant and avoiding the unpleasant. Up to this we saw sense control. Up to this we understood sense control. Example, we didn't go into the technicals so much last week. We saw the Evaka-Chudamani verse. How weakness for one sense organ can destroy, and human being having weaknesses for all the five senses. What is there? What are their chances? But people are surviving, no sir. But people are still happy. People are still surviving, no. Vedanta says how people are surviving is the proof of God. There is the divine support that people are still surviving. If that is the very fact that what is the proof of God? God is existing and supporting us. The very fact that we are all still moving around, isn't it? Because it's so surprising, shocking to see how all of us are surviving. One sense organ can destroy, and if you have weakness for all the five, what happens? So, what is sense control? The intricacy of living in the world with such inherent weakness. What is sense control? Recognizing this inherent weakness when you are living in the sensory world, meaning you cannot get rid of the senses, you cannot you cannot eliminate the senses, at the same time you cannot pamper the senses. This is as far as the sense control are concerned. But then what does the world do? All attempts are always made to make ourselves, to make the senses get attracted. If you want to sell a product, what you have to sell? How do you have to sell it? It has to be attractive to the senses. If it is attractive to one senses, your skill is very less. If you can make it attractive to all the five senses, Shankar, you need not do anything. They will come and the whole world will look where you are and they will come and take it and go. So, what is the attempt of the world? How to make objects attractive to all the senses. Intellect says, be careful about this lifestyle. Be careful about this lifestyle. What does lifestyle means? Example. Control has a meaning only. Knowledge and understanding control means the object is available, your senses are alert and alive, and then the intellect says, don't go for pleasant and unpleasant. That is called control. You will follow? The objects has to be available. Your senses must be alive and alert. Even if one is not there and the other is present, control has no meaning. Are you able to follow? Senses are alert and alive, but objects are not available. What do you do? Is that control? That is suffering. That is poverty, isn't it? Objects are there, but you cannot. That's poverty, suffering. Objects are around, but your senses are not alert and alive. What is that called? Anybody? Objects are around, but your senses are not available. Your senses have become weak. Type on. I will find out where the chat is here. Only if you have to. Now I got it. Yeah. What is that called? Objects are there, but the senses have become. Senses are done with. What is that called? Ill health. Coma, frustration. What is that called?
Incapacity.
Numb. You all give wrong answers. You give one knock at your head by yourself. Huh? Because I will give the answer now. Yeah. Pakatalanda, you can give one, go and give one knock for all the wrong answers. Now who's there? You have to give it for yourself. That is called old age. Objects are around. Objects are around. Nothing you can do about it. That is called old age. And you can become old even at the age of biological age of 20, you can become old. At the biological age of 90, you can still be alert and alive. Are you able to understand the difference now? Senses are alert and alive. Objects is not available. One condition. No control, no joy, no happiness. The word control has no meaning there. Another possibility. What is the other possibility? Everything is around you for enjoyments, but senses have become dull, weak. When senses have become dull, weak, that's called old age, irreversible. That is why from the beginning itself, you need to have a intellect to manage the sense organs. If the intellect does it itself, you feel it has done something very extraordinary. No. If this aspect of if this aspect itself is controlled, wow, what a great achievement in life. Vedanta says, wait. You have done only the grosser control. Subtler ki padam varum. What is the subtler? The variety of emotions that has to be dealt with. That's what we are to study now. Are you able to correct now? The second thing that we are studying is the emotions. Mind hosts all types of emotions, good, bad, indifferent. All emotions is of the mind. Love, hatred, greed, anger, jealousy, compassion. All emotions, positive, negative, all is from the mind only. Remember that first. Emotions nale mind. Good, bad, indifferent. All emotions pertain to the mind. Good emotions means that which gives you a pleasant feeling. Bad emotion means that which agitates you. Indifference means you just don't care, that's all, isn't it? Indifference means you just don't care. Psychologically also it is true. If you want to hurt a person, how will you hurt a person? By turning indifferent. You know that, no? The way to hurt a person is by turning indifferent. You just simply turn indifferent. And the other gets, you know that, even if you pick up a fight, the other will be happy. Why? Because there is some interaction happening. And all that they want is interaction, that's all. One interaction can be by exchanging pleasant words. Another interaction can be happening by exchanging unpleasant words. But nevertheless, exchanges are happening. The most painful is what? That's why if you want to hurt somebody, what will you do? You stop talking, no? You want to hurt somebody, what would you? You turn indifferent. Are you able to follow? So 3, the good, the bad, the indifferent. All emotions belongs to the mind. And these emotions, when not controlled, devastates you. When these emotions are not guided, controlled, it devastates. Example is the banks of the river. If the banks are strong, the water flowing is beneficial. If the banks are weak, what happens? It will inundate and devastate the field. If it is guided properly, it enriches the field. If not guided, it devastates the field. Now the devastation or enrichment is not because of the water. The devastation or the enrichment is because whether it is guided or not. Are you able to follow? The devastation or enrichment is not because of the presence of the water. The devastation or enrichment happens because of whether it is guided or not. Now comes a practical way of knowing how strong or how weak is your intellect. That's where the chart is. Now comes a practical way to know where do you stand. There is the chart in the book. Now we are going to discuss the chart from the book. Till now we have studied all this last week. We start with the chart now. Do we have the chart, Venkat? If you have. The chart talks about gradations. Oh, in the chart, very good. If you see the chart, sane, emotional, eccentric, hysterical, insane. And then there are some numbers given. 100 is to 0 is sane and 0 is to 100 is insane. So you can see the entire movement. Position OA, position OB, position OC, position OD, and position OE. If 100% of your choices are governed by the intellect, you are called sane. That's the 100 is to 0. 100 is to 0, it says in the chart. The other end is OE, insane. 0 is to 100. What is 0 is to 100? No intellect at all, only by the no intellect at all. All choices are executed by the mind. If all choices are executed by the mind, it is 100. No intellect at all is 0. So two extremes, OA and OE are two extremes. Very few people belong to the category of OA and very few belong to the category of OE. And then as the strength of the intellect reduces and the power of the mind increases, you move from OA to OB, 75-25. As the strength of the intellect further deteriorates and power of the mind increases, you reach the position OC, 50-50. As the strength of the intellect reduces and the mind is becoming more powerful, OD, 25-75. Intellect is 0 and mind is all powerful, insane. Now, sane, emotional, eccentric, hysterical, insane. Don't worry about the medical terminologies here. Don't make the mistake of the medical terminologies here. What it means is the proportion. Are you able to follow? What it means is the proportion is what matters here, not the medical names here. Some names are given: emotional, eccentric, hysterical, insane, sane, all these refers to various states of the mind. You need not tell anybody, you need not share it with anybody, and definitely I am not interested in knowing. You find out for yourself where you stand in this chart. Yeah. Sir, I want to confess this is where I am. I really don't want to know where. I really don't want to know where you are, because we already know. Yeah. That which is known already, why? That which is known already, why it has to be known again? Because it is known already. What is important is for you to know where you stand in this, chart. Emotional means 75% of the time your intellect is available, 25% it is not available. When your intellect is available 75% of the time and the mind powerful at 25% of the time, you are called emotional person. You are called an emotional person. Now, if the intellect is available 50% and mind is available, when we say intellect is available 50% means to guide. Intellect is available 75% means what? 75% of the time it is available to guide. 50% of the time it is available to guide. 25% of the time it is available to guide. It is not at all available. That not at all available state doesn't exist. Very few will belong to that category. It means very few belongs to the category of always alert. Always alert and available. That also very few people belong to this category also. Remember the 4 stages we talk about? Intellect available after the action. For most, intellect won't be available even after the action, isn't it? Actually, there are grades. No, intellect not at all available. Intellect available after the action. Intellect available at the end of the action. Intellect available during the middle of the action. Intellect available before the action. If the intellect is available before action means choice. Action means choice. If the intellect is available before 100%, you are called sane. Are you able to understand now what is sane means? Understand this flow, then it becomes easy. What is it? Intellect not at all available. Even if others say also it is not available, that is called insane. You can call it as insane. So intellect available after the action. Don't say intellect available after the action is hysterical. Don't say all that now. Don't make that comparison. What I am saying here is how it is, how that connection has to be made. If I say this, then you will say, oh, eccentric means intellect available halfway through the action. That is not the connection here. Intellect not at all available. Sometimes intellect is available after the action. That's why you say, oh my God, I should not have done that. I don't know why I did it. But I said it. I should not have done it, but I did it after the action. Sometimes, as somewhere through the action, you will recognize that you are not doing the halfway through the action, you can catch yourself that you are not doing the right thing. Sometimes that is also possible. What is the ideal scenario? A blessed life. The ideal scenario, blessed life, is when the intellect is available before. If it is available before 100%, you are called sane. If it is available 75%, it is called emotional. If it is available 50%, it is called eccentric. If it is available 25%, it is called hysterical. Not at all available, past, present, future, is called insane. Now it is clear. Correct, Arga? Correct, clear now. So these are the 5 stages: sane, emotional, eccentric, hysterical, insane. All this is clear. Now comes the question. In order to know where you are, this chart will be of some help. You may not know it accurately, but you can know it reasonably well. Please understand, all diagnoses are always, accurate in postmortem only. You know that, no? So as you are going through, you can only, even if you have reasonably all right in understanding this chart, you will have a very good understanding of where you stand. So don't try to make it as a pakka 100% thing. It gives you a very good idea, very good diagnostic tool of knowing where you stand. And throughout this book, we are going to find various diagnostic tools of understanding the Holocaust. The whole book is that. We are only started the first one. And each and every diagnostic tool is making you get depressed. Don't worry. Yeah. The very fact that you are becoming aware is an indication that you can become all right. Supposing you say that the land doesn't matter to me, I don't fall under any of these category, I am already belonging to the category of OA. Very good. Yeah. We all will come and fall at your feet, and you will be the guiding factor for the humanity. Problem is, everybody is thinking they are the guiding factor. Yeah. Everybody is thinking they are the guiding factor. When your own senses and mind is not listening to you, on what basis you expect others to listen to you? Problem is, sir, my senses and mind need not listen to me, sir. That's not my problem. My problem is what? Others are not listening to me. Nobody is listening to me. Vedanta government says, if only when your senses and your mind listens to your intellect, others will listen to you. Yadyata charati sreshtaha tattat eva idarjanaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Lokaha tat anuvartate. One of the extraordinary verse. We have seen it any number of times. If others have to listen to you, first, what should listen to you? Your own senses and your own mind. But we say, no, 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 that control and all, I am not bothered. How to make others listen. We don't put it like this. We don't put it so bluntly, but we will put it in a very, because we're all masters in playing with words, no? Yeah. And if you want to know how to masters in playing with words, now you have to ask, no, Shailesh. Yeah, they all, my God, the words they all use, I get very confused. From where they get all, and more and more and more educated these people get, the words they use is more and more complicated. And by the end of that day, you feel like you are an illiterate in front of them, Shailesh. You feel like an illiterate in front of them. None words kandupidikranga. How much they are all talking, what all they are doing. Shakespeare says, words, words, words. When Hamlet was reading a book, the minister asked, what are you reading? What are you reading? Just words, because just words. Now, what is these words here? A diagnostic tool that help you to understand it in a very broad way, but not accurately. But still, the very broad understanding itself is much, much bigger than what you need. Qualitatively better than what you need. Are you okay till now? So, what does this mean? 100% available before you are called a sane person. It means what? The intellect has gained perfect mastery. That person is a sthita prajna. So OA belongs to the category of sthita prajna. It means what? For a human being to be called as a sane human being, you have to become a sthita prajna, a sane human beings. Rest are all belonging to some other category except being sane. Correct, sir. Nobody around me is sane. Except me. Except me, nobody around me is. So after studying Vedanta, one thing is becoming clearer and clearer, sir. What? How others are all insane around me. And what is happening to you? I don't know, whatever is happening. Yeah. But one thing is sure, nothing positive is happening. That is very obvious. When 75% of the time, if the intellect is available, it is called emotional. It means what? The mind has become powerful by 25%. Mind has become powerful by 25% means what? It refuses to listen to the guiding factor. There is the guiding factor saying, and the mind is refusing to listen. Are you okay now?
Yes.
The guiding factor is saying, but the mind is refusing to listen. Remember the poem Pond. The mother said to the little ones, don't go near the water. Remember the poem? The pond, chicken, and the ducklings. The chicken made a friend with the ducklings. Yeah, friendship but they have created the friendship. Yeah, they created this friendship. And mother warned. What is the warning of the mother? Whatever you do, don't go near water. Don't go near water. And mother one day went shopping. The mother went because always the mother can't be sitting and keeping a watch. No, how long to keep watching? So one day the mother went to shopping. And when the mother went to shopping, the chicken started thinking. Yeah. What is the thinking? Why my mother said, don't go into the water? For I am remarkably fond of water. I am remarkably fond of it. Since I like it so much, I love it so much, I am desperate for it. I can't live. I like, all these four stages, no? You should be able to connect in a flash all this. I'm remarkably fond of water means I can't live without that person. I can't think of living, sir. I don't know how I can survive without that person. And that person is coming and telling me, please make that person go away from me because I am not able to survive. Remarkably fond of water. And then it gave some reasoning. What is the reasoning? All of you will be knowing the reasoning, no? What is the reasoning? My feet, it starts. When it analyzes, it starts. My feet. We are all the same. It's saying we are all the same, except one difference. What? Beak. We are all the same except one difference. What is the difference? One beak is pointed, another beak is round. Whose beak is pointed? Right. Whose beaks are round? Is that any reason that I should be drowned? The question, is that any reason that I should be drowned? The answer is, obviously the beak is not the reason, because feet and all is already the same. No. Feet and all is already taken into account and said it is all one and the same. They splashed, they dashed, and it wished somebody will take me to the chicken went inside the water and it started drowning. When it is drowning, it wished. What was it wish? The only wish is what? Somehow to reach the ground safely. It splashed and dashed and started floating on its back. Started floating on its back means it's dead. From sane to insane, this is how it happens. From sane to, if sanity is not there, it will end up in that insanity. Insanity means death. What is death? Wonderful human faculty of reasoning, thinking, and guiding your senses and emotions and reach the highest stage in life. That wonderful potential is given, that wonderful opportunity is there, and that opportunity is lost. That is called death. Death here doesn't mean physical death. It is death of the, see, what is death philosophically? The death of the opportunity. That's what is painful. It's not the physical death. It's not you had a wonderful opportunity and it is lost. You had a wonderful opportunity and it is lost. Yacheda vedi, adasatyamasti, achediha vedir, mahadi vinashti. Wonderful opportunity is there and that opportunity is lost. Wonderful opportunity is there and that opportunity is lost. What is painful? Having an opportunity and losing it is painful. Having an opportunity and losing it is painful. If there is no instrument and if there is no guidance, that death has some reasoning. Correct? There is a guiding factor which is the Shastras, the Vedanta, plus the instrument, the intellect. The Shastras are there, the intellect is there, wonderful opportunity is there, and it is lost. Okay? And there is a unique category of human beings. What is the unique category of human beings? They will come in contact with the Shastra, know that they have an intellect, and still destroy themselves. அவங்களை எந்த கேட்டகரியில் வைக்கிறது? Where can you place them? Again I repeat. And who belongs to this category? Vedanta students belong to this category. They come in contact with the Shastra and they know that there is an intellect. Still, sir, adallam we can see later. Opportunity and all, I don't worry about missing the opportunity. The story of Jadabharata talks about the value of missing the opportunity. The story of Jadabharata talks about how this opportunity is missed. Here comes the law. That's where it is so difficult. Here comes the law. What is the law? When you are missing an opportunity, you won't know that you are missing it. That's the problem. When you are having an opportunity, you won't know that it's a golden opportunity. You won't know it is an opportunity. Not knowing that opportunity, you go on abusing it, misusing it, and then realize it. In fact, most of them don't even recognize it even later also. Therefore, a human being becomes a victim of the Holocaust. Therefore, the human being becomes a victim of the Holocaust. What is the Holocaust? Not able to guide not able to manage and guide the emotions. And this whole book we are going to talk about the devastating nature of the emotions not guided, be it positive or negative. It's both. Be it positive emotion or negative emotion, both are destructive if not guided. Compassion, if not guided, turns into weak pity. Love, if not guided, turns into attachment. So, even the so-called positive emotions itself will be positive only when it is guided. And what is guiding? In one word, Shakespeare says, cruel only to be kind. If you have to be cruel, you have the strength to be cruel. For cruel only to be kind. Cruel only to be kind. Intellect, because of the understanding, if it needs to be cruel, it will be cruel. But that cruel is also for one's own betterment. And what does the lack of intellect do? Pamper the senses and pamper the mind. Now you can understand clearly what is happening. In the absence of the intellect, what happens? The senses are pampered and the mind is pampered. Intellect says, intellect strengthened by the study of the Shastra, Vedanta, says, you need not suffocate yourself, you need not frustrate yourself, you need not torture yourself, you allow yourself to go through some experiences of joy and sorrow. Allow yourself to fulfill a few desires. Shastras allows that. Vedanta allows that. It says, fulfill your desires. Let the intellect be alert and aware. Pariksha lokan karmachitan. This is the pariksha. In order to do pariksha, you have to go through some experiences. Again, I repeat. If you have to do the pariksha, examining, you need to go through some experiences. So that's why the Shastra allows you to go through it allows you to acquire some wealth. It allows you to acquire, it allows you to go through some sensory indulgences. It allows you to go through all these because of what? It allows you to go through all these so that you can examine. What is examination? What is examination? Again and again and again, you keep coming back to the same point of frustration. Again and again and again, you keep coming back to the same point of frustration. Are you able to follow? That's why the Shastra says, fulfill some of your, you need not frustrate all your desires. Fulfill some of your, fulfill a few. By fulfilling the few, what will you understand? That fulfilling has not created any strength, that fulfilling has made you more weak. That fulfilling has made you more weak because you become more dependent. You want it more and the instruments have started to fail. That is called a life of, neutralization. You are hungry and no food. Food is there, but your body has forgotten what hunger is. With the eyes, you can't eat food, no. But you can't, isn't it? Are you able to follow? Therefore, what does Vedanta do? It tells the intellect what? Carefully fulfill some desires. Fulfill some desires. Because only if you fulfill them, you understand what you are seeking and what you are getting doesn't match. What are you seeking? Tripti, contentment is what you are seeking. Fulfilling the desires doesn't give you tripti. Are you able to understand? Fulfilling your desires will never give you contentment. In fact, what happens? More and more you fulfill, more and more you become discontented. You will get bored with one and you start seeking variety. That's where you start seeking variety. And all are victims of this variety. Vedanta says, having fulfilled, you should examine. You cannot examine. Shastra helps you to examine. Holocaust of attachment is going to help us to examine. We cannot examine by ourselves. Somebody has done this work already and are helping us how to go about it. What is the examination? You have fulfilled. You wanted wealth. You gotten some wealth. You wanted some sense indulgences. You gotten that. What happened? What happened? One thing is happening for sure. What? Craving is increasing. Carefully follow the problem. The craving is increasing. Your capacity to enjoy is decreasing. That's hell. This is hell. The craving increases and your capacity to enjoy decreases. Therefore, Vedanta comes and says, understand it rightly. Therefore, it comes and says, understand it rightly. What is understanding it rightly? What does understanding it rightly means? By you going through a fulfillment here implies getting the desired object. That is what fulfillment here is, not contentment. I'm using two words, but nobody is listening to these two words. Fulfillment means getting your desired object. Contentment means what you are seeking through that object. Again, I repeat. Fulfillment means you getting the desired object. That is called fulfillment. Contentment means what you are seeking through that object. Happiness, peace, contentment, satisfaction, bliss, joy, etc. comes only not at the presence of the object or you acquiring that object or person. Only when you get the contentment, you can call it as. But invariably what happens? We know how to get that person, but you will not know how to get contentment. That you will not know. That nobody knows. If you know how to do that, you have learned how to live life. You have learned the law, you have learned the technique of life and living. In order to come to this understanding, you got to do this pariksha. In order to do this pariksha, some examination, some experiences are needed. What are those experiences? Try and acquire a few. Try and acquire a few. Get a few. And when you try and acquire a few, what is implied here is adopt legitimate means to acquire. Illegitimate means you have lost it, isn't it? So when you are fulfilling, do it by some legitimate means. That legitimate acquisition is called dharma. That legitimate acquisition is called dharma. And most of the time, the acquisitions happens illegitimately. That is why at the time of coming itself, there is no joy. Okay, there is a legitimate acquisition. The arrival of object gives you a joy. The arrival of the person, the presence of the person, the arrival of the object gives you the joy. But what you will not get? What you will not get? Contentment you are not going to. Contentment you will not get. Therefore, what you will do? Since you are not seeking the object but seeking contentment, what will you do? What does anybody do? Leave this object and go to the next object. Leave this person and go to the next person. First time I made a mistake, sir. Now I'll be very careful in choosing the right person. First time I made a mistake. I didn't do due diligence and all. I didn't do. Yeah. Now, with all due diligence, what I will do? Without due diligence, I put my finger in the fire. With due diligence now, I will jump into the fire. Yeah. With due diligence, what I'm jumping into the fire. But God, be there. I will keep jumping into the fire, and what you should do? I will keep jumping into the fire, and what should you do? Oh God, what should God do? His job is to make sure that I should not get burnt. I will keep jumping into the fire, and God must do what? He should make sure that I should not get burnt. For that job of God, I don't take it for free. I don't take anything for free, sir. For that job God does, I will give him a fee. What is the fee? What is the fee I will give him? Consultation charges I will give him. Yeah. What is the consultation charges? What is the fee that I will give it to God? I will worship him. I will praise him. I will sing his glories. I don't know, his glories or her glories, I don't know. Or both the glories. I will sing his glories. I will sing their praises. I will give that which God likes. So what will God do? Every time I jump into the fire, God will come and tell me what? Jump. I am there to save you. Jump. I am there to save you. That's what we want from God. I will keep jumping and God should keep saving. And not only I will keep jumping, I will make sure others also jump. Not only I will jump, I will ensure the whole lot also jumps with me. And what should God do? Save everybody. I will jump. Then I will drag my wife. Then husband and wife dragged now. By default, who should be dragged in? Children. The train, one compartment, one will go after the, one will go after the. Looking at all these jumping, what will the grandparents do? They'll also jump. And the whole lot is what now? Suffering. The Holocaust of attachment. Whole lot jumped. How does saving happens? By knowledge and understanding. By knowledge and understanding, saving happens. This is the topic, the power of the mind, isn't it? Power of the mind. Correct. The power of the mind. Power means it can be destructive, it can be constructive. Power means it can be detrimental, it can be beneficial. Power means that. It is beneficial if you know how to use it. It is detrimental if you do not know how to use it. So the word power has two meanings. It can be beneficial, it can be detrimental. It is detrimental when you do not know how to guide it. It is detrimental if you do not know how to guide it. It is beneficial. It is beneficial if you know how to guide it. So the power of the mind can be used positively or it can be destructive. Constructively means guided. Destructively means unguided. Guided by what? Guided by the intellect. What guides the intellect? Shastras guides the intellect. Vedanta guides the intellect. Are you able to follow? The intellect guides the senses and the mind. The intellect guides the senses and the mind. What guides the intellect? Shastras. That is why in the Siddhaprajna portion, he says, wherever there is a sign of danger, the senses and the mind withdraws into the shell and it is protected. Remember the tortoise example? Kurmo angani va sarvashaha. Angani sarvashaha kurma eva. Like the kurma withdraws all the angas, the five senses and the mind, the six angas, all are withdrawn into the protection. What is the protection? The shell. And that intellect gets guided, strengthened by the Shastra. Shastra here means Veda, Vedanta. So what is the sequence? The senses and the mind cannot guide themselves. Cannot guide themselves. If they can guide themselves, intellect is not required at all. Since they cannot guide themselves, intellect is required. And that intellect becomes strong by the guidance of the Shastra, Vedanta. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam te Karya Vyavastito. Karyam and Akaryam. Wherever there is a discrimination has to be done, wherever thinking has to be done between Karyam and Akaryam, take Let Shastra be your final authority. That's what Arjuna did in chapter 2. Arjuna said in the beginning of chapter 2, and thank God he said that he got saved. What did he say? I think fighting is not right thing to do. I think fighting is not the right thing to do. But I do not know whether my thinking is right or wrong. Are you able to follow? Arjuna said in chapter 2, I think fighting is wrong. If you think fight is wrong, then go away. No. No. I do not know whether my thinking is right or wrong. Therefore, Krishna, guide me. And he got the guidance. And we all got the guidance. What is the guidance? The guidance of the Shastra. This is the topic, the power of the mind. With this, we conclude the topic, and if there are any clarifications, we will take it.
There is a question posted by Mala last week. Today also she has posted.
Oh, 1 hour they were pending. Okay. How do I know that my intellect is working at any point? Very good. How do I know that my intellect is working at any point? At any point of time, if there is a reasoning, at any point of time, if there is some reasoning, some thinking, then you can understand intellect is functioning. Again, I repeat, the question that she is asking is, how do I know my intellect is functioning? Or asking, how do I know I have an intellect? Wherever thinking, reasoning is happening, intellect is functioning. Second point, whether that thinking is guided by your likes and dislikes or by the Shastras. Again, I repeat, first step is reasoning. You know your intellect is functioning. Second step is what? Reasoning is guided by what? Reasoning is driven by what? If it is trying to fulfill the desires, if it is directed, governed by the desires, intellect is not fully functioning. Partial functioning is as good as not functioning. No. Partial functioning is as good as not functioning. Therefore, how do we know that intellect is functioning? You are reasoning, and that reasoning is guided by supported by the Shastra, not by your likes and dislikes. Everyone is reasoning, but their reasoning is decided by their likes and dislikes. I like it, full stop. I am infatuated, full stop. Now what to do? How to get it? That is not reasoning. So first is reasoning. Second is what guides the reasoning. If these two things you are alert of, you know your intellect is working, functioning. Are you able to understand, Mala? Okay. Second question. Can we not fulfill our minimum desires and disconnect the mind? Correct. In order to disconnect the mind, you need to fulfill minimum desires. That alone is not enough. Pariksha has to be done. Just to fulfilling the desires and disconnect will not happen. After fulfilling the desires, examination has to be done. Only through this examination, you can disconnect. Not by simply fulfilling, undisconnect. By fulfilling, you will want it more. No, how can you disconnect? Craving will increase more. Demand will increase more. How can you disconnect? So, fulfilling the desires for the purpose of examination. In Sanskrit, this examination is called vichara. For the purpose of inquiry, for the purpose of vichara, examination, you fulfill some, which Shastra allows you. But by fulfilling, you are not going to disconnect. What is going to help you to disconnect? Vichara, inquiry. In the language of Atma Bodha and the later text, it's called Vichara. In the language of the Upanishads, it will be called Pariksha. Both are one and the same. Pariksha and Vichara and all one and the same. Just the different text uses different words. That's all. Upanishad will not use the word Vichara. Upanishad will use the word Pariksha. Remember Mundaka Upanishad. Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano. The one who has pariksha, the one who has done this examination. What is examination? What I wanted, what I got. Is there a match between what I wanted and what I got? Adhan pariksha. You order something, it comes sealed. What will you do? You order something, it comes sealed. What will you do? Mala. You will tell the fellow, wait. I want to see what is inside. No? That is called pariksha. That is called pariksha. What are you doing there? That's what. You know what you ordered. Did you actually got what you ordered? Adu panlana, what a fool that fellow is. You know what you ordered. But then you should make a connection between what you ordered and what you got. Invariably, what you ordered and what you got are not the same. Therefore, if you understand this, you have done your pariksha. If you have done this, you have done your pariksha. Therefore, fulfilling your desires is not the criteria to disconnect from the mind. Fulfilling the desires so that some experiences are there for you to connect with what the Shastra says. If you have some minimum experience, then you will be able to connect with what the Shastra says, because the Shastra says it is hollow, it is shallow, there is no joy in it, it's a source of sorrow. These are all the words that the Shastra says. If you don't have any, if you have some minimum experience, you will be able to connect with it. If you don't have any experience at all, what will you do? என்னமோ பேசினே இருக்கிறாங்க சார். Shastra Vedanta class, they will keep shouting on top of their voice for nothing. They will keep shouting on top of their voice, and we will go back and do exactly what we are doing. The religiosity is something amazing. Huh? The consistency. What is the consistency? The consistency of deciding not to listen and coming back again and again and again. Extraordinary this is. Mala, புரிஞ்சுதா? அவ்வளவுதான். She understood. One more clarification and then we'll conclude. Yes.
Would it be like making an arrogant statement if I say that I fall in the category of insane?
The question is, will in the chart, in reference to the chart, sane, emotional, eccentric, hysterical, insane, if I have done some self-analysis and come to the conclusion, and if I say I am insane, if I come to the conclusion that I am insane, would that be a arrogant statement? It is not an arrogant statement. Very refined way, arrogant statement. அப்புறம் இதெல்லாம் எடிட்டிங்ல எடுத்துருவோம். Yeah. Certain words we will use and we will edit. I don't know whether editing is done or not. Anshu, you don't do editing and all, no? Update posting. Okay. Then I will use very refined words. Yeah. It's not an arrogant statement. It is a statement of ignorance. Because an insane person won't know that he is insane. Are you able to follow? The insane person will not know that that person is insane. That is the definition of insanity. If you are able to recognize that, it means you don't belong to the category of insane. Are you able to understand? So, an insane person won't know that he is insane. Correct? Okay. A mad person will not know that he or she is mad, no? Can a mad person know? If the mad person knows that I am mad, then that person is not mad anymore. For what is the uniqueness of madness? The uniqueness of madness is everyone around you will know you are mad except you. When everybody around you will think that you are not normal, you will think you are normal. That is madness. If you have a doubt, maybe I am not normal, you are no more insane. Your intellect has started functioning and you are on the right direction. So an insane person won't know that one is. Supposing I have done all this analysis, sir, and I have concluded that I am an insane person. It's a wrong diagnosis. It's a completely wrong diagnosis. You follow? Formula is mad one will not know. A mad person says I'm normal. No. Who says you are mad? Will a mad person say I am mad? No way. He cannot say that. If that person can say that, then that person is not mad anymore. You follow? Think in this way. Anything else, Venkat? Okay. There is an announcement. Yeah. For the next 5 weeks, please refer to the group whether we'll be having class or not. Most probably we will not be having. Semester break we are taking. Yeah, we are taking a semester break. Too much we are discussing, so we thought we will give a semester break. Semester break only to the listener, not to the speaker. The audience is going to differ. All of them. Problem topic is going to be the same. So for the next 6 weeks, some weeks we may have, some week we may not have. Follow the posting and then come. From July 1st week, the schedule will start properly. They're talking about till the end of June. It means for the next 6 weeks. Great.